Hello and welcome back to the Power Up podcast. I'm Gila Ross, your host, and in the podcast we spend just a few minutes exploring powerful ideas that can impact our daily lives. I'm super excited to share this episode with you where I sit down with the legend, the Superwoman, Meira Spivak, who will introduce herself to you, and you'll see why she is such a fascinating person to listen to. Hi, Meira. It is so great to see you again. I think it's been, 4 years since we last
Yeah,
saw
it's been a
something.
really long time. This is amazing.
Yes. So I know that some of my listeners will remember you from Portland, NCSY. I know that the Vancouver people and the Calgary people might remember Meira Spivak from the legend from Portland, NCSY. But for those of us who don't, for those of the listeners that don't, give me a little bit of an introduction. I mean, you are, I think, the person that comes to mind when people think of a superwoman. You run NCSY. Just briefly tell me what that entails.
Sure. Well, I'm the director of NCSY in Oregon. So I have the privilege of helping to really grow NCSY in our state, and our NCSY is pretty unique. Most cities will have an NCSY primarily focused on high school programming. We actually have our own middle school, high school, and college program. And we also started a sleepaway camp about 2-3 years ago. So really, that's just really exciting, for me personally. And then I'm also a district manager. Sorry, I'm also a district manager for the Northern District of the West Coast. So I really get to help not only the staff in Oregon, but also those, Northern California as well, and in Washington. So it's just been I just really love my job. I love what I do. I feel like I'm able to help a lot of different people, and I'm constantly challenged, right? One day my job might involve just working on a project. We might be doing a fundraiser. The next day is management. The next day we're packing boxes, to send everybody during COVID. So there's just a lot going on, and I really love the diversity.
That's amazing. It sounds like a very part-time gig then, right? I'm joking. More than full-time. So again, for those of you who don't know, you have a number of kids, right?
Yeah, I have a very large family. I do. It happens to be like, my motto in life is really like, and I say this about everything, like, I don't think things are big deals. So, it's funny when I talk to people, when I talk to people and they're like having children and they're, complaining. And it happens to be, for me, the first child really was the hardest. And then the second child was like, wait, okay, I have two hands. I got this. Right. The third one was like, all right, husband, like, come on, help, but at some point you're just outnumbered. But I think that most people, and this is the secret, by the way, if anybody's listening in here, most people, they actually give up before it gets easier. So the secret is, by the way, just if anybody here is interested in a big family, the secret is getting past 4. So like people stop at 4 and then they're like, I am done. I will never, not even, most people don't get to 4, but if they get to 4, they're like for sure done. But really, once you get past 4, that's when it just becomes more. So before then it's like, oh no, it's another challenge and there's more. And then we're outnumbered. But like, once you get like past 4, it's just like, everything's just more, but it's not, I mean, it's new challenges because each child brings a new like surprise. But anyway, get past 4. If that's what you're
Right.
struggle, get past 4.
I love that tip, because again, hearing you talk and knowing a little bit about you, I wonder if that's your motto, not just for kids, but for life in general. Because I think a lot of times, as you say, it's a brilliant piece of advice that we stop before we get easier, right? We get to the hard part and we think, oh my gosh, this is so hard. And then we stop. Whereas if we just continue, then we can apply this to kids, we can apply this to marriage, we can apply this to the job, we can apply this to our own personal growth, I think, as well. That was really a brilliant piece of advice. So I hear that just recently you've taken the publishing world by storm. You published a book. Tell us a little bit about the book that you published.
Yeah, well, actually, the book is called How to Make Pesach, or Pesach in 5 days. And it's actually it's funny, I always say this, it's based on a class that I've given for many years, How to Make Pesach in 5 days. It's based on a class. And I always joke that, when a movie comes out and there's a book and a movie, and there's always a discussion like, what's better? It depends on what came out first. If the book came out first, the book might be better. So it's always like, what's better, the speech or the book? So this book was actually based on a class that I've been given. And during COVID, I opened it up to a larger Facebook group, and the class got almost 3,000 views. And I knew
Wow.
at that point, like I had never gotten 3,000. That's like a lot of views. And I was like, people really need help. Like it's overwhelming. So many people had a last minute make Pesach. Like they didn't have guidance. Everyone was thrown into it. It was COVID, right? And it's really been amazing. Like I really love helping people. And I think that this is a great way. People stress again about Pesach preparations. The premise of the book is that it's not that it's not stressful. The premise is let's just like constrain the stress, like just confine it to only 5 days. So we don't have to be stressing the whole time. So it's funny, we were joking about how the book was going to be called Only Stress for 5 days, but we didn't think anyone would buy it. But it's not that it's not stressful. It's not that it's not real. It's not like there's not a million things to do, but it doesn't have to take over our lives. Like we could just stress for a short amount of time. And I'm always comparing it to the analogy when I take my kids to the doctor for their birthday vaccinations and they're like freaking out for weeks before, like, not the doctor, not. And I'm dragging them into the appointment and I'm like holding them down and they get the shot. And it's like over in 3 seconds. And I'm like, do you realize you just stressed for like weeks before for a shot that like literally your brother just smacked you 5 minutes ago? And that was way harder. And now you're like just crying. And I'm like, this is us preparing for holidays. Like it doesn't have to be stressful. We can look at it, we can break things down, we can make it simpler. There are steps we can take so it's not overwhelming. Like things are as overwhelming as we make it and we have a choice. So for Pesach preparations, I've chosen to really narrow all that stress down to 5 days, and I'm sharing that with others so they also can go into Pesach. They could like be facing Passover, just getting really excited, really just not feeling the stress, just being able to feel the joy of the holiday.
Amazing. Amazing. I can't wait to, I think it's sold out. Is it sold out or there's a second printing?
Yeah, we've gone into second printing. It is still available, I think, and is available on Amazon. So for the UK and different places, it is available on Amazon. I know it's available also at Lehman's Books, if that's near you. I'm not sure where everybody lives, but I know it is available in some places, but we did go to second printing and we are very excited about it.
Amazing. Really, really amazing. So let me ask you a question, Meira. If you had one message that you'd like to give to our listeners, some of whom know you, some of whom are meeting you for the first time today, what would it be?
I want to share something about myself. And I tell this to a lot of people, is that I never had training in anything that I do. I actually used to be a caterer and I don't think I ever took a course. I was just like, yeah, I could make cakes and sell them. Yeah, I could set up the party. Yeah, I could cook the food. Yeah, I'm a caterer. I can make a golf tournament. Have I ever played golf? No, but I'll find someone who knows how to play golf. I'm not a writer. I just wrote a book. I'm still not a writer. And I think the fact that I'm like, don't let the fact that you're not someone or you're not something stop you from accomplishing your goals. Because again, we're putting this like pressure on ourselves around Pesach. We're putting all these limits on ourselves, but there's no reason. They're all in our imaginations. We can accomplish anything. And I still say, again, I'm not a writer, but I wrote a book. And I don't play golf, but I run a golf tournament. And I don't know trivia. I run a trivia night. And I made myself into a caterer just because, and now I cater for free for all of the NCSY Shabbatons that we run. So, I teach innovation now. Am I an innovator? I mean, yeah, I think I am now. I think I am, but it's just not because I had I just started learning and I picked it up and people are always saying, well, I never had that. I never learned that. It's not too late. Just start doing it. And this is the key. When you start doing it, the goal is not that it's perfect. The goal is that it's good enough to do it a second time and fix it. And that's what I do when I start things out. I start things out, I'm like, let's run this event. It just has to be good enough that people want to come back and we'll tweak it. By the next year, it'll be better and then better. But let's not stop ourselves because we're like, I can't. You could do it. Like, it doesn't matter if it's perfect. So you'll get it better the next time. We're not going for perfection. We're just going, we want to set goals for ourselves and accomplish those goals. So if I had one message, it's don't stop yourself. Please don't sell yourself short. Anyone could accomplish anything they want. Just do it. And it doesn't have to be perfect. You'll get there.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I'm sure this is a message that you pass on to your NCSYs. I know you work incredibly, incredibly hard for NCSY. You're incredibly driven. I mean, you've been involved for how many years?
For at least 15 straight and then a few years before.
What's your motivation? What keeps you going?
What is my motivation? It's a great question. it's actually funny because I once got up during a talk we were having an awards banquet, and I got up in front of a room. Most of the people in the room actually were not observant like I am. I'm an observant Jew. So most of the room, I would say, were secular, and they were coming to this awards banquet because they were proud of the accomplishments of the teens. And at one point, I got up and I said something that was pretty daring at the time. It probably is still daring for me to say it, but I really do stand behind it. And people are always saying, oh, is this Orthodox? I don't know. It's not for me. It is for me. I'm not that type. And, we're always saying that NCSY, at least in Oregon, is for sure. It's not for Orthodox kids. It's not who we serve. It's for everybody. We welcome everybody. But I said, do you know why I feel that I keep going? It's actually the fact that I'm an observant Jew, because day in and day out, I have made a commitment to Judaism. And it's something that doesn't waver. Even when it's hard, and even when it's stressful, and even when, one of my own kids are just making me crazy, not that ever would happen, I mean, hypothetically, right? Or things are going really hard. I know that I made a commitment and I'm going to stick to that. And I think knowing how to stick to something stays with me in every area like that I put myself into. And it's the same with NCSY. Like, I am committed to inspiring the Jewish future. I made a commitment. I believe in that commitment, and I'm going to stick to it. So it's funny that most people look at it and they're like, oh, you're observant? Like, you keep kosher, you keep Shabbat, you keep Shabbos. And I'm like, yeah. And I know how to stick to things. And I think that's just part of who I am. And that's really kept me going for such a long time. That commitment to Judaism is really what's that ability to commit. It's a skill. Not everybody has that, right? We know people that are flaky, they keep changing their mind. But I think the fact that like, I know how to commit to things is really what's that skill I've applied to my work in NCSY and working with the Jewish people.
Incredible. Because I know, like, I look at you sometimes, I'm like, how does she do it all? But now you're telling me that your superpower is that you're observant, and you managed to, you made the commitment and you follow it through. Wow, incredible. We could keep talking forever. Thank you so, so much, Meira. It was a real pleasure to speak with you tonight. And if any of our listeners want to find your book, they can find it on Amazon, you said?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of Jewish bookstores are carrying it in the tri-state area right now. It's available at the oregon.ncsy.org, our Oregon NCSY website, and also on Amazon.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. This is really a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much for spending your time and listening. We'd love to hear your thoughts and your feedback. And if you got anything out of this episode, please share the word about the podcast and subscribe so you hear future episodes. Have a great day.